Hi, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Nico and I use he, him pronouns. I'm a white man with parted blonde hair, large blue and brown spectacles, and a black t-shirt. I'm seated indoors against a purple wall and some bookcases. And like about 20% of the global population, I'm disabled. Pop culture depictions of our population tend to focus on the tragic or the pitiful or the sad. And there's some of that, but I've been disabled a long time, guys, and I think there's also room for disabled joy. However, the disability community has as many members as it has perspectives, which is why I've asked my friend Michael here with me today to talk about disabled joy. Hi, Michael, how are you doing?
Hey, Nico, thank you for inviting me. I'm very well, thank you.
Excellent. Can you share with me a joyful moment in your life, a joyful memory? It could have to do with your disability, or it could be independent. Either is valid.
I'm going to share a specific memory. Actually, my spouse and I, my wife Gail, she and I met a long time ago, and I proposed to her. And as part of the proposal, I invited her to meet my grandparents in Madrid.
Okay.
And she had never been out of the country at that point. I am a person who is hard of hearing. And by the way, I forgot to explain my own background. So I'm a white male with a white beard, almost equally white beard, gray hair, short cut. And I'm sitting outdoors in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. There's a lake behind me. We are in the city of lakes, so there's all kinds of lakes around. And I am wearing spectacles as well. And coming back to my joyful memory is when I introduced my wife to my grandparents. As a deaf and hard of hearing male, I had a lot of experience just having difficulties being understood and understanding people around me. And the joy came out when I introduced my spouse to my grandparents in Spain. They were both native Spanish speakers. I do not speak Spanish, and they always spoke English with me as I was growing up. And I was very proud to meet her. And I was excited to see them embrace her so wonderfully. And then she was practicing Spanish, and she understood what it was like to not understand what's going on around you. And so she was able to relate in a new way to my experience because she does not live with a disability. But it was just really nice to be on an equal footing in that way, in that moment. And we celebrated, and we had a lot of fun with the experience. And we realized we kind of grew closer together because she had a sort of an appreciation for some of my challenges. And I got to experience her kind of being part of my family in a new way that was just really, really exciting and wonderful.
That does sound wonderful, Michael. Thank you so much. It's really great when someone that you love meets your family and they also fall in love with her. Thank you for your memory. That's really fantastic. Yeah. In what ways has your disability impacted or interacted with your ability to pursue joy and to pursue happiness?
It's interesting. I've never seen it as a defining thing, but being invited to be part of this conversation, it's given me a deeper sense of appreciation of the different opportunities that I have. And it's being a person with a disability has kind of allowed me to kind of appreciate the smaller things that I discover and appreciate how much I can achieve in a world that isn't always friendly to somebody who isn't able to do everything that is expected. So even in that world that isn't built for many of us, it's still possible to experience a lot of joy. And I really appreciated that. Ultimately, what I find really interesting is even despite my status as a hard of hearing person, because of my status of a hard of hearing person, I have a great appreciation for music and going to concerts and shows. And I really like seeking out new sounds and new types of bands in order to see what kind of things people are making, what kind of noises are people making, what kind of sounds are they emotionally connected to? And I really like seeing that joy in people's experiences when they discover new music and that sort of thing. So it's really been a lot of fun for me over the years to explore music and share that music with other people. And one of the things that I found is my curiosity about music has kind of caused me to be the person who, in my family and friends, they ask me about the new music. So what are you listening to now, Michael? And then I introduce them to that, and they're like, oh, wow, that's really interesting. So it's a lot of fun that way. So I guess it just brought me greater sensitivity and appreciation to hearing and music.
I'm so glad that you're able to serve as like a music tastemaker for your family, and you can direct your family to all the latest sounds. That's really great. I'm getting this sense of like, or this recurring theme rather, of gratitude in your answers, and I really want to point that out and respect that as well. Finding those little moments of gratitude is something rather that I could do better at. So I appreciate that. Thank you. My third question is, it might be a bit difficult because both you and I have had fairly long experiences with disability, but what one thing, if you could narrow it down, what one thing do you want the general public to know about disability and disabled quality of life?
That there is a quality of life regardless of any limitations that a person may have. The quality of life isn't defined by the limitations. The quality of life is how you are creative around those limitations. So the key thing that I would encourage everybody to kind of embrace is the opportunity to be creative, and don't let the limitations of the disability define what opportunities actually exist. Right. So my personal example is, as a hard of hearing male, I was encouraged to avoid healthcare because I couldn't hear in a stethoscope, or I wouldn't be able to do certain things necessary in the medical field. I was also kind of curious about potentially doing military service, and I had a conversation with a recruiter, and the recruiter said, no, this isn't going anywhere because, well, you have your limitations. But now, at this stage of my life and my career, I'm working in a job where I guide the healthcare resources for pilots and flight attendants, which is a paramilitary profession. And it has equal standing in terms of safety critical responsibilities and being able to help people be their best self. So I've arrived at the intersection of the two things that I was told not to pursue. Right. So I think that is something that's really important, is that if you have a desire in a field, don't let it dissuade you from pursuing that, because there's all kinds of interesting ways that you can contribute, so long as you bring a little bit of creativity and innovation to the conversation, which in my experience, every individual that I know that lives with a disability has been forced to be creative and innovative. So I think that the rest of the world needs to kind of open their minds to that possibility of seeing what they're able to do despite or because of the disability and the limitations associated with it.
Thank you, Michael. I really love what you say, and you're not the first person I've had the pleasure of talking to who do bring up this really good fact that disabled people are innovative and creative and stubborn and resilient. Albeit because we've had to be, yes, but those are still positive traits to have nonetheless that do help us succeed in many environments. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you.
My last planned question is one that I ask all my interviewees, regardless of project. And that is there a recent win that you're celebrating that you want to speak into existence and celebrate with us? Otherwise, what cool things have you got going on? What projects are you involved in? What do you want to brag about? Or if you're promoting something online, where can people find you online?
You know, that's a great question. And I am actually, I do have something timely that I'm excited to share. So one of the things that I'm grateful for is that over the years, I've been able to demonstrate a capacity for innovation, and as we were just talking about, and I was able to use my position of privilege where I've been able to attain a certain degree of authority and autonomy in the organization that I work with, that I was given the carte blanche to go ahead and create a project with the community. And so, in partnership with a local agency here in Halifax, Nova Scotia, we've created a program that is designed to expose individuals who happen to live with a disability to the aviation industry.
Okay.
So give them an opportunity to see where they might be able to fit into the aviation industry. Because one of the things that I've seen over the years is that the notion of ableism is something that we all live with. We have this assumption that somebody with a disability is not going to be able to engage in certain tasks. And unfortunately, one of the things that happens is sometimes we internalize that as individuals with a disability, and we say, okay, I'm never going to be able to contribute to an airline. So if I happen to be a person who uses a wheelchair, I think of airlines and I think of only pilots and flight attendants and maybe mechanics. But the reality is my airline that I work for has an entire division that somebody who happens to use a wheelchair may actually be very well suited to. And it's in the systems operation control center, doing dispatch work, doing crew scheduling work. These are all really high paying jobs that are really excellent, demonstrated problem solving and an ability to get things done, which I think we need to introduce people to these jobs. And I think that that's what informed the project that I'm excited about, which we just recently launched. And I just got word today that after a week of being announced, there were 100 applicants that applied to be part of this project. So it's really exciting, and I'm very proud that this flaky idea that I had to open up the aviation world to persons with disabilities is coming to fruition, and that there are 100 people in the Halifax region that are saying, hey, I'm curious, I want to learn more.
I love that stakeholder buy-in. Congratulations on launching that project, Michael. And thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for creating the space for this conversation.
Absolutely. All right, Michael, thank you again. Audience,
it's a pleasure.
Tune in next time. And remember, I'm rooting for you.